You are standing in a quiet field in central Turkey. Dry grass, a few houses, a landscape so ordinary you would never look twice. But beneath your feet, the ground is hollow. 18 floors of hollow. In 1963, a man in the town of Derinkuyu was renovating his home. He knocked down a wall in his basement, and behind it, he found a tunnel. The tunnel led to a room. The room led to another tunnel, and that one led down into the dark, deeper and deeper, into a city that had been sleeping under the earth for thousands of years. A city built to hold 20,000 people. You think of cities as things that rise, towers, skylines, things that reach up toward the sky. But the people who built this one did the opposite. They went down. They carved an entire world into the rock beneath them, far from the sun, far from the wind, far from anyone who might come looking. The question is why? Why would thousands of people choose to live inside the earth? To understand that, you have to understand the ground itself. The region is called Cappadocia, and it is unlike almost anywhere else on the planet. Millions of years ago, volcanoes here erupted again and again, blanketing the land in thick layers of ash. Over time, that ash hardened into a soft stone called tuff. Tuff is strange. When you first cut into it, it is soft enough to carve with simple hand tools. But once it is exposed to air, it hardens. It becomes strong, stable, almost like the rock is sealing itself shut around you. For people with no machines, no steel, no engines, this was a gift. The earth here was a material you could shape with your hands and then trust to hold. And so, slowly, generation after generation, they began to dig. No one knows exactly who started it. Some researchers believe the first tunnels were cut by the Phrygians, an Iron Age people who lived here around the 8th century before the Common Era. Others point further back still. What is clear is that the city was not built all at once. It grew. Each century, people dug a little deeper, added a little more, until the network stretched down at least 18 levels into the rock. Now imagine descending into it. The first level is close to the surface. This is where daily life happened. Stables for animals, carved right into the entrance, so the livestock could be brought underground quickly. You can still see the holes in the walls where animals were tied. Above them, the ceilings are low and blackened. People cooked here, near the top, where the smoke could escape without filling the city below. Go down a level and you find the wine and oil presses, storage rooms, great carved jars sunk into the floor. These people were not hiding for a single afternoon. They were prepared to stay, to live, for weeks, maybe months at a time. But here is the detail that changes everything. As you move deeper into the city, you pass through narrow doorways, and beside each doorway, carved from a single piece of stone, sits a massive circular door, a wheel of rock as tall as a person, weighing up to half a ton. These doors could only be rolled shut from the inside. Think about what that means. The people who built this place were not afraid of being trapped in. They were afraid of what was outside. Each of these stone wheels sealed a passage so completely that an attacker could not move it, could not break it, could not force their way through. And there was a small hole in the center of each one. Some researchers believe it was used to see who was on the other side. Others think it was used to fight back through the gap, to push a spear into anyone trying to break in. So the question returns, sharper now. Who were they hiding from? For most of its long life, this underground city was a refuge. Cappadocia sits in the middle of a land that armies crossed for thousands of years. Empires rose and fell above the surface. Persians, Romans, Arab raiders, Mongol horsemen. When danger came over the horizon, the people did not stand and fight. They vanished. They drove their animals down into the stables, carried their food into the storerooms, and rolled the great stone doors shut behind them. And from the surface, there was nothing to see, just a quiet field, a few houses, a landscape so ordinary you would never look twice. The enemy would arrive, find the towns empty, and eventually leave. And only then, days or weeks later, would the stone doors roll open again. But living underground creates a problem that has nothing to do with enemies. A problem you might not think of until you are already down there in the dark. Air, 20,000 people, breathing, cooking, burning lamps, all of them sealed beneath the earth. By every law of nature, they should have suffocated within hours. They did not. And the reason is the single most impressive piece of engineering in the entire city. The builders cut ventilation shafts straight down through all 18 levels, more than 50 of them. These shafts pulled fresh air from the surface and carried it all the way to the lowest rooms, hundreds of feet below. The system was so well designed that even on the deepest level, the air stays fresh and breathable today. Some of these shafts doubled as wells, drawing water up from underground sources. And here the design becomes even cleverer. Many of the wells did not connect to the surface at all. That meant an enemy above could not find them, could not poison the water, could not cut off the city's most precious resource. The people below could drink in safety, while the world above searched for them in vain. The researchers who mapped the site found something else remarkable. Derinkuyu did not stand alone. It was connected. A tunnel several kilometers long is believed to link it to another underground city nearby, called Cappadocia. An entire hidden network, city joined to city, beneath a landscape that looked from above like empty countryside. As you descend toward the lowest levels, the purpose of the rooms begins to change. Near the bottom, carved deep into the rock, there is a large chamber with a vaulted ceiling shaped like a cross. This was a church. Down here in the deepest dark, hundreds of feet from the sky, people prayed. There are rooms believed to be schools, with study areas carved beside them. There are spaces that may have been used as tombs. So this was not merely a bunker, it was a world. People were born here, taught here, married here, buried here. Children grew up knowing the feel of stone overhead instead of sky. For them, the glow of an oil lamp on a carved wall was as familiar as sunlight is to you. And then, eventually, they left. By the 20th century, the underground cities had been largely forgotten, used at most as cellars and storage by the people living above. The great network fell silent. The stone doors stood open. The ventilation shafts breathed empty air. Until a man knocked down a wall in his basement and the past came pouring back out. Today, archaeologists are still mapping Derinkuyu. They believe only a fraction of it has been fully explored. New chambers, new tunnels, new connections are still being found. The deepest levels remain difficult to reach, which means that somewhere beneath that quiet field, there are still rooms that no living person has stood in for hundreds of years. There is something worth sitting with here. When you imagine ancient people, it is easy to picture them as simple, primitive, less than us. But the people who built Derinkuyu had no machines, no power tools, no engineers with computers, and they carved ventilated, defensible, self-sustaining city 18 stories into solid rock by hand, using nothing but their understanding of the stone and a deep, patient will to survive. They solved problems of airflow that we use fans and electricity to solve today. They designed a water system that could not be poisoned. They built doors that no army could break, not because they were trying to impress anyone, but because their lives depended on getting it right. And maybe that is the real lesson buried under that field. You live your life on the surface, in the light, where everything is easy and visible and safe. The people of Derinkuyu lived knowing that safety was something you had to build with your own hands in the dark before you ever needed it. Their city was not a monument to power or to glory. It was a monument to one of the oldest human instincts of all, the instinct to protect the people you love no matter how deep you have to go. So the next time you stand in an open field, somewhere quiet and ordinary where the grass is dry and the houses are few, remember this. The most extraordinary things humans have ever built are not always the ones that reach for the sky. Sometimes they are the ones hidden right beneath your feet, in the dark, waiting in silence for someone to knock down a wall and let the light back in.